CJ.
And I'm Robin.
Welcome to the Cozy Kitchen.
Come and make yourself comfortable here with us by the fire.
Let's chat about baking, friendship, and cozy hobbies. If there's time and enough tea, maybe we'll even unravel some fun backstories.
I mean, there should always be enough tea.
Hey, Robin!
Hi, CJ. How is it going today?
It's cold and rainy here, but otherwise, I'm doing well. How about you?
We're going to be getting some clouds this afternoon, so it's going to be a little chilly and cloudy here today. And I'm loving it, honestly. That to me is perfect baking weather. So I think that it's going to be a great time to kind of chill out and get some baking done today, relax a little bit, enjoy the process, journey before a destination, all that. And I thought as we come upon some new baking projects, I thought it would be fun today to talk about baking failures because anybody who's ever tried baking has faced failure. Anybody who's ever tried anything has faced failure. But I think that baking failures are particularly humbling because it's very hard to hide away the things that happen that you wish that hadn't happened. So
Yeah.
I yeah, I figured we could talk about our own baking fails, what it means to fail, and how to climb back up from that very humbling getting knocked down a few pegs feeling.
Yes.
So I want to start actually by asking you, when you think of all of the baking fails that you've had over the years, how do you classify a failure? Like, how do you think about if you start off baking, what does that mean whenever you actually have to admit, like, okay, I failed at this?
So I think it depends on who I'm baking for. If it's baking for myself, as long as it tastes good, then it's not a failure.
Yeah.
If I'm baking for other people, and it really depends on like how well I know them, then it has to be presentable. And I think like when I was younger, it had to be perfect, professional level. But over the years, I think that I find a way to make it presentable, which
Mhm.
usually, like, I think the last time I may have talked about this before, I was making brownies, which vegan brownies, which did not turn out well. And they tasted great, but it was just not brownies in my head. So I changed it to being fudge and took it to a
There you go.
neighbor's house.
Yep. That's how to do it. And I think that's such a great way to look at it too whenever you're baking, because if you're making something for just yourself, then it matters a lot less if, like you said, it's presentable. But if you're making something and it's for a party, maybe you're asked to bring a dessert to an event or a get together or something, you do want it to look nice. So I think that definition does make sense to me, and I would agree with it. I
Mhm.
feel like, yeah, if it's something that I'm not wanting to make it presentable, I just wanna make it for those flavors, it doesn't have to look all that beautiful. But how long did it take you to overcome that sense of perfection in your baking? Or is that something that you still struggle with? Because perfection and failure seem to be very closely intertwined as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna go away for me.
Yep, that's fair. I understand that.
I do try to not beat myself up as much anymore. I used to get really upset and
Mhm.
think I'm this failure and just go down this spiral of beating myself up, but these days I'm much better about that.
I'm
Um,
so glad to hear it because you're an amazing baker. You do a lot of really amazing stuff, and you've shown throughout the years, and you've shown that you've grown your baking skills. So I'm glad that you're able to be kinder to yourself whenever things just don't work out the
yeah.
way that you intended. So
Yeah. So what do you consider a failure and how do you cope with that?
I think like you, my failures are very much determined on different kinds of contexts. So, for instance, if I'm making a recipe for the first time, and if it doesn't turn out the way that the recipe says it ought to, then I will be like, "Oh crap, I failed. I can't." And like you, I have this bad habit of getting very down on myself, and I will have this inner monologue of, oh, you can't even follow a simple set of directions. This shouldn't have been that hard. Why can't you just do this correctly? And
Mm.
so that is probably coming from some childhood trauma. Hooray. But there's that kind of failure. And then there's the failure that honestly is worse in my mind, which is that I've made something that is completely inedible and now I have to throw it away. So
Mhm.
not only do I then have to deal with the fact that I messed something up, but then I have to deal with the fact that I have to throw away what were once perfectly good ingredients.
Mhm.
And that really drives a knife through my heart. I hate wasting food. I hate
Mhm.
having to throw stuff out. I
Mhm.
try and avoid it at all costs. Well, CJ, when you are learning and when you are learning things in the culinary world with baking and with anytime you make any kind of anything with food, sometimes it just happens. And yes, you want to avoid it as much as you can. You don't want to be purposefully wasteful, but for anyone else out there who very much doesn't try new things out of the fear that it will mean wasted food, I see you. You were valid. Your concerns are valid, and you're not alone. Because
Yeah.
it's hard, and sometimes it just means getting creative.
Mm.
Obviously, if you burn something inedible, you don't eat that. You can't eat
Mhm.
that. Or if something's raw, don't eat that. It's just pitch it. You don't because you don't want to be getting sick either.
Mhm.
But sometimes you can get creative, and like you said with your brownies, it became fudge instead of brownies, and it worked out. It's fine.
Yep,
Mm. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, and if it's burnt or raw or whatever, that's just not edible. It is
Mhm.
probably edible by some animal in the wild who will pick it out
You're
of your
right.
trash. Oh,
Or maybe it's like like you can put in your compost bin or something. It's still carbon if it's
yeah.
burnt especially.
Yeah, so it's not going to waste, it's going back to Mother Nature.
There we go. And we should probably have an episode about having compost bins
Mm.
for our baking endeavors because that's pretty environmentally friendly. I think that would be a cool one. But
Yeah.
today we're talking about failure. So, CJ, I want to ask you when do you have a particularly rough baking fail that comes to mind for you? Because I have about three that come to mind for me that are really bad.
Okay, so I think the one that comes to mind first is the French macaroon.
My god, that was one of mine too. So I'll skip mine. You do your French macaroon. So tell me what happened, what went wrong? Because these are notoriously finicky cookies to
Yeah,
make. So
yeah.
what tell us all about it.
I don't know what went wrong. I think that the first recipes I tried were actually the French way of doing it, which is you make meringue the French way, and I'll talk about what the difference between French way or not French way. But I made it and I would get inconsistent results.
Oh.
Sometimes it would puff up and then deflate, and then and for a good macaroon, it's gotta puff up and it's got that crisp layer on top, the shell, and then the foot below is like this chewy layer with the
Mhm.
almond flour and the sugar. And so I was just having the hardest time keeping it puffed up. It would always deflate. So that was super frustrating for me. I probably cried over it.
And
And
let me ask you this too. Whenever you said you would keep getting inconsistent results, was
uh,
that using the same recipe or would you try different recipes and just to see if one of them would give you a little bit more luck than the other?
I don't it's been a while. I don't think I tried different recipes. It was the
Okay.
same recipe Although I have tried multiple recipes. I think in the beginning, it was one recipe, I would try it, and then try it again, maybe tweak one thing, but it just with the French method of meringue making, which is to beat your egg whites and then add the powdered sugar, that just wasn't working for me. What really is a game changer for me was learning that you can make, Italian meringue, and I actually learned the Italian meringue method at a professional kitchen working with a professional pastry chef, and we
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah, we made Italian meringue, and the way it came out, and we weren't making macaroons then, but in the professional kitchen, we were just making meringues, just baked
Mhm.
meringue, and it came out perfectly every time, and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to do it this way," and that's what
Wow.
really changed it for me, and then ever since then, Italian meringue, I get consistent results every time.
I guess that makes sense because Italian meringue, where French meringue, like you said, you're mixing together the egg whites and the powdered sugar.
Yep.
The Italian meringue, you actually make a sugar syrup and then you very slowly drizzle that into the foamy egg whites and
Yep.
everything, right?
Yes, yes, and that syrup has to be, at a softball stage, so you have to heat up the
Mhm.
sugar to a specific temperature where the sugar is softball, and what
Mhm.
that means is when you take, like, a spoon, you take it out and you drip the sugar syrup, and you touch it, like, you will let it cool off first, but when you touch it, it's almost like a very soft taffy
Gotcha.
texture. What you would do is you take it, you drip it into a cup of water, like a cup of cold water, and it'll cool instantly. You take it out and you, like, just press it, and it's, like, gooey, it's soft, and that's why it's called softball stage, 'cause
Yeah.
any hotter, that if you take the sugar to a higher temperature, then it becomes, like, hard, and you could crack it.
Yeah, yeah, and that becomes almost like the hard candy that you would see on lollipops or Jolly Ranchers,
Yeah,
things like that.
yep. And so
Mhm.
some reason, when you do like, when you process the sugar that way, the meringue turns out perfectly each time, but then if you just use powdered sugar, I was getting all sorts of weird results.
That's crazy. I guess that makes sense because if you're heating the sugar and if that hot sugar is going into the eggs, maybe there's something, and we're going to do an episode, I think, all on meringue because
Mhm.
there is a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with meringue. So I'm just wondering if maybe there's something about the heat of the sugar and maybe it does something with the proteins in the egg whites, like maybe it makes things more stabilized. I genuinely don't know that we're gonna do some research on that for a future episode,
Yeah,
but I wonder if that's it because if, like you said, you're getting more consistent results, you're
yep,
getting the good macarons every time.
yep, yeah. So
So now do you just use that method for
yeah,
any time
now
you wanna
I
make
use that
macarons?
method, and then for the longest time, I was trying to make vegan meringue behave the same way,
That
and
would be hard.
that was like, I thought it was a hopeless cause,
Mm.
but this past year, I actually did figure out how to do that, is
Hell yeah!
which is another win, but now I'm curious, so you say you also struggled with this. Tell me about your
Yes.
experience.
Yeah, I okay, this was due to me being a fairly new baker, which if you're trying to bake macarons as a newbie, props to you because it involves so much understanding. To me, that there these cookies are so finicky that you really need to have a very in-depth understanding of how baking typically happens. That's not the right way to say it, but it's like I feel like it's better to have a very good set of like foundational knowledge blocks under you before you attempt it. And that's
Mhm.
just me. That was for my own thing cuz if I had known then what I know now, I would have done a lot differently. So first of all, I did not have the correct ingredients. I got almond meal instead of almond flour
Mm.
and that was the first mistake. The second mistake was in not understanding the timing for whipping the egg whites for the meringue. I
Mm,
got that so wrong, and it basically was just a soup, and I could not, no matter what I did, make it not soupy. So
mm,
I don't know. I genuinely don't remember what I did or didn't do,
mm.
but I could not whip these egg whites.
Uh,
And so eventually I did get them to a place where I was able to pipe them a little bit, but
mhm,
they were so runny that
mhm.
they're like it was basically just anything that would have happened in the oven, it was just like eating a scrambled egg white with some almond bits in it and some sugar. It was not great. It's and I do actually have photo evidence of the gory details.
So you say
Not
timing. Tell me more about that. Like, what flipped for you?
Yeah, so I think what it was, honest to goodness, CJ, it was just making more meringue. It's just me understanding that meringue, it looks different depending on the length of time with which you are beating the egg whites. Because you have the stage where it's just foamy, you
Mhm,
have the stage where you're getting soft peaks, you have the stage where you're getting stiff peaks. And
mhm,
when you're macarons, you want the egg whites to be, I think it's stiff peaks. I think you want stiff peaks for the egg
mhm,
whites, but
mhm,
you can take it a little farther even from that, and you can overbeat the egg whites
mhm,
even after they get to the stiff peak stage.
mhm, mhm,
And I was like, no matter how many videos I watched, no matter what I was reading, it just was not clear to me how what that stage looked like.
mhm.
I did not understand the optimal stage of where the egg whites needed to be in
Uh-huh.
order for me to make the macarons. And this is why I say that learning is something that is different for everybody. Some people can just read a recipe and immediately know, oh, this is what I need to do. Some
Mhm,
people can watch a video online and that will help them reach whatever goal they're trying to achieve.
mhm.
I am the kind of person it's the Montessori kid in me, I don't know, but I need to do in order to learn,
Mhm.
and even more than that, it's even more helpful to have a teacher beside me who is showing me in real time what I need to be doing. That's how I learned to crochet. Somebody needed to physically take my hands and show me how the crochet hook had to be threaded through the yarn.
Mhm.
Otherwise, my brain just was not going to understand it.
Yeah.
So I'm very much that kind of a student. I need somebody who is there to say, okay, this is what you need to be doing, and this is why you need to be doing it. Do it at this point, and this is why.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. With all these experiential things, I think it's just so much better to have it a teacher show you live.
yeah. Is that also what helped you whenever you were learning how to make the macarons and you were at that restaurant and you were able to have an expert right
Mhm,
there
mhm,
to guide the process and answer questions? Do you think even if you had learned the Italian meringue method,
mm.
if you didn't have that person to be that teacher for you, would you have still seen success with it, or do you think that there might have still been that risk of failure even if after the Italian meringue discovery?
I think that it was really a matter of how soon I would get to that breakthrough moment where I
Mhm.
can consistently bake
Yeah.
good macarons. I think
Mhm.
eventually I would stumble on something on my own, but having that person who is a professional, knows what they're doing, explain to me like, I literally remember being at the stove, heating up the sugar, and he, like, took a spoon and dropped, like, a drop of the sugar onto the stove, which was just a stainless steel metal, and, like, allowed it to cool off there, picked it up, and he was, like, showing me. So,
Mhm.
it's these tactile things that you can't really read about to know exactly what that feels like. You can
Yes.
describe it, but unless the recipe writer is a very precise writer, which
Mhm.
a lot of recipes aren't written well, it gets confusing. So, it's
Correct.
really hard to know what to look for So yeah, it would just take me longer.
A very hopeful way of looking at it. You would have found success no matter what.
Mhm.
It's just the way that you went about educating yourself helped you learn faster, and
Mhm.
I think that's a really great way to look at it. You're going to achieve your goal. It's just how quickly you'll do it that depends on the expert that you consult and how determined you are.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I love that.
Yeah.
And then did you go to that place specifically to learn how to make macarons, or were you there
No.
for all kinds of culinary training?
It was just a 2-week stint that my friend was the executive chef, and he's, "You like cooking, so
Mhm.
come you wanna try out what it feels like to be a professional?" And I was like, "Hell yes, let's do this."
Oh, that's
Oh,
so cool. What a great friend.
yeah, he was pretty awesome. It was quite an experience.
That's amazing. Yeah, and now that knowledge has carried you through the years, and
Mhm.
you're able to use that and make other things aside from macarons. I bet you're able to make meringue out of different things, and you understand the softball stage versus other stages for
Yeah,
melted sugar.
yep.
So just yeah, I love that. 10
Yeah,
out of 10.
yeah. I thought of another failure, but I want to ask you said that you have 3. Let's go to number 2.
All right. This is also not a good one. Oh, none of these are very pretty, but my second failure is it's a cake failure. I think I've mentioned before that I have had cake failures and they're devastating every time. I wanted to make chocolate cupcakes, and you would not think that chocolate cupcakes would be that insane. Oh, just go to the store, get a boxed cake mix, whatever. I wanted to make it on my own. I wanted to try out a specific recipe, and so I did. And I had a lot of high hopes for it because the batter tasted really good, but
Mm,
it was an incredibly thin batter. It
mhm.
was like almost a step above hot chocolate. It was very thin.
Uh-huh,
And so in the recipe specifically, and this was a recipe that I trusted because I made recipes from this person before.
uh-huh.
In the recipe, it said to only fill the cupcake tins or liners, whatever, about I think it was like halfway, a little bit less than halfway. You were not supposed to fill these at all.
Uh-huh.
And I misjudged what halfway actually looked like. So I ended up
Mm,
overfilling them. And
mm.
as a result, these cupcakes did not poof. Instead, they just ran up and spilled over into the rest of the cupcake tin. And the most humbling part about it wasn't just the fact that it was inedible. It wasn't just the fact that they looked horrible. It was also the fact that I had a big mess to clean up afterwards and no cupcakes. That's the absolute worst. That was failure number 2, and I got so mad that I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna get this right. I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
try this again." And about I think it was like a day later, I tried the recipe again, and I barely filled those fuckers. I barely filled, and sure enough, they were fine. It was like I did not have much in there at all. I don't know what the heck is going on with these cupcakes,
Uh-huh.
but I remember it used hot coffee to bloom the cocoa powder. There
Mm,
was powder and soda in there, and I was baking them at a higher altitude,
mm,
and I was still very new to baking at a higher altitude, so
mhm, mhm.
it could have been a plethora of baking fails, and we talked before about how frustrating it is to try and diagnose a baking failure
Yes.
when you genuinely don't know what it could be. And also that kind of brings up a question that I have for you. How many chances do you give a cookbook, or if you find somebody online who has a bunch of recipes and everything, how many chances do you give them before you just say this person doesn't know what they're talking about?
I tend to not give many chances, maybe 2? May
Yeah,
I think basically
that's
after the first
fair.
failure, I'm usually like, "This person doesn't know what they're doing." Or even, like, sometimes, like, I've baked enough now, that to read it, I'm like, "Oh, this is not gonna work." Yeah, so I tend to online, I actually tend not to even trust online at all.
Mhm.
I'll take
Yeah.
ideas, inspiration online, but I like to go to my tried and true cookbooks that have really, like, been there for me.
'Cause you've got a lot of good cookbooks at your disposal, so, yeah, you've got some good stuff that and honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, if it ain't broke, if
Mhm.
you already have a good, let's say, I don't know, chocolate cake recipe, and you know that it works, it has worked for you consistently every single time,
Yep.
and at that point, it's like, why would you bother looking for any other kind of recipe? You already have something that's a winner.
Yeah.
So, yeah, unless you wanted to go out think outside the box, try something different, experiment a little bit, then I
Mhm.
can understand, but yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I and this is no shade to the New York Times, but I've tried the New York Times cooking recipes, and it's not that it didn't turn out well, I just didn't like the flavors. It's a me thing, but there were definitely multiple times where I've made, like, a lot of their recipes, and I was just like, "Huh, this ain't I don't care for this."
Yeah,
It it
I'm
turned out fine, but I don't like it.
yeah, I'm there with you. New York Times is like, it's okay, like, I yeah, I
Yeah.
don't really
Hashtag not sponsored.
No, yeah, definitely not sponsored.
And I don't know what it is. I think that maybe they just overcomplicate the
Mhm.
flavors.
Mhm,
As
mhm,
the one that I can remember is there was this Earl Grey orange flavored kind of cake or something,
mhm.
and I tried it and I was like, maybe I just don't like Earl Grey flavored desserts. It was very mild, but yeah, I just
Huh.
it wasn't for me. I did not I the flavors it was such a boring cake. I didn't like it.
I feel like, yeah, maybe they're trying to experiment, get a little creative, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah.
And it's such a bummer because a lot of their whoever's doing their food photography is extremely talented because their
Mm,
recipes genuinely look very good. But
mhm.
then I go to make the recipes and I am less than impressed with the flavors and everything. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
expectations.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad that you found a very similar experience.
I don't use the New York Times.
Yeah. There's I like doing the Wordle, but
Yeah. So
but,
what's your 3rd one?
okay, my 3rd one, and I'll make this one a quick one, but, in in Pennsylvania, I don't know if it's in all parts, but in our little corner of Southwestern Pennsylvania, there is a dessert called a strawberry pretzel salad, and I don't know if you've ever had it. I would love to share it with you one day. It is one of my absolute favorite desserts. I think I requested it for instead of a birthday cake one year. It's one of my
Wow,
favorite
okay,
things because it's a pretzel crust, and so
okay.
you make the pretzel crust with butter, brown sugar, you let it
Uh-huh,
bake in the oven,
uh-huh,
and then you've got a cream cheese cheesecake-esque
uh-huh,
middle,
uh-huh.
and then on the top, you have just it's like strawberries encased in Jell-O.
Oh,
It is it's a thing most commonly seen in summertime,
uh-huh,
springtime. You go to family reunions or barbecues or get-togethers, whatever,
yeah.
and it's hot weather, it's refreshing, it's amazing. And I tried making it and my first time trying to make it, I didn't realize that you needed to let so, yeah, it's gotta have the strawberry jello layer on top, and then the cheesecake layer, and then the crust, and I didn't realize that you had to let the strawberry jello part cool before you put it onto the cream cheese layer, and so, it was hot, liquidy strawberry jello, and it just pours right into the cream cheese layer and completely congeals and mixes together. It's not pretty. It's still edible. I would argue to say that it was still edible, so not 100% a fail. I wasn't
Uh-huh,
gonna take this to any event or anything, so
uh-huh.
not the absolute most disastrous thing, but it was not pretty.
I mean, like, when you were describing it, I was trying to think of how it's being made, and, like, I even thought that you would pour the Jello in over the
You
cheese. That
so
makes sense to me, but
so
now
you do, but it has to be cool because once it's cool, it's not going to infiltrate the cream cheese layer, and the cream cheese layer needs to be set and refrigerated. So, yeah.
I see. Oh, okay. I will learn from your experience.
Yep, yep, it was a lot, and it's yeah. So, yeah, anybody out there who wants to make this recipe, make sure that all components are nicely chilled. Obviously, you can't chill the Jello too much because then you don't want it to
Mhm.
set. You
Yeah.
still want it to be you want it to be in a pourable state. But, yeah,
Oh,
that's
this
yeah.
recipe is called a strawberry pretzel salad?
Yep. There's a lot of things called salad that are not salads.
That's a really interesting name.
Yeah, it's great. It is honest to goodness, it is a very pretty dessert too, because 'cause you've
Mm,
got the bright red strawberry jello
mhm,
part, you've got the cream cheese mixture in the middle, you got the pretzel below it. It makes for a very pretty dessert,
mhm.
but it does require a little bit of knowledge and know-how on how to make it. So,
So
yeah. So now I know.
yeah, and I need to get this recipe, and you're gonna have to make me make it.
Yay! You know what? That might be an idea for a future episode. I think I know what to do with this
Yep,
little idea.
yep,
This little nugget.
yep.
Oh man. But yeah, I think it's important to fail though. I think it's important to experiment and try things
Yes.
and find out what doesn't work
Yep,
because it's not helpful if you are only working within your comfort zone.
yep,
You got to experiment and do things that seem completely out of reach for you and then you might surprise yourself.
yep.
So,
Yeah, I think that it's all that journey, that process, and you have to accept the consequences, like cleaning the oven, and I
uh-huh.
didn't tell you my second one, which is brioche.
Oh yes.
Uh,
Oh no, what happened to your brioche?
Brioche it was a challenging one. I have probably gone through 2 mixers just because of that brioche recipe.
What was this recipe? What happened?
I so brioche is, like, very high fat content, there's a lot of
Mhm,
butter in it, and, like, there's less, like, water or liquid hydration, it's like milk and butter, basically, and
mhm.
for whatever reason, the flour that I was using or it would just be so tough to knead that thing,
Huh.
and I would try to get it to a state where that gluten is formed, but
Mhm.
because of all the fat in this recipe, my stand mixer was just struggling. You could hear the gears grinding, and I
No.
was like, "What is wrong with this recipe?" And, the gears were, like, so hot that I would have to put ice packs on them, and eventually, like, it would just stop working, and so
Oh my
I have
god.
gone through 2 stand mixers just for this recipe.
No. Oh, RIP. Oh, poor stand mixers. What kind of flour was this recipe calling for?
It's just AP flour, but I don't know, for whatever reason, this brand maybe? I never figured out why my recipe was not doing this correctly, and eventually I did figure out how to make brioche, but I think I tried a different recipe, and that one worked.
Okay.
So, yeah, recipes matter.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say so. And that's why if you find a recipe that works, stick with it. And
Yes.
so the recipe that you found that worked, was it in a cookbook that you had for a while, or did you have to
No, it was new.
venture forth?
Yeah, it was a new cookbook. It was I think I started off with a recipe from a, like, very famous pastry chef,
Oh,
but
wow.
he's more old school, so I don't know what it was with his recipe, but I found a new pastry chef who was more modern, and his worked. I'd have to go back and see if something changed. It may have been
Mhm.
just even my own experience just baking this bread for a longer time, that
Mhm.
eventually I did some minor thing that changed it. And
Oh.
I still don't know what happened.
But either way, you went back, you tried the brioche recipe again, and you were able to successfully make a loaf of brioche bread?
Yes, yes,
Nice.
yes.
And I'm curious, what happened to the whenever you were making the recipe where you had to say goodbye to 2 stand mixers, what happened to that dough? Were you still able to use it?
So, I was still able to bake it, use it, but when you cut into it, it's just dense. It's just
Yeah.
it's not appetizing. It's edible, but it's not brioche, not the way I think of it.
Yeah, but I think that it's very inspiring that in each of the fails that we talked about today, we went back and we tried them again and we did see success.
Mhm.
So was the most recent brioche that you made was that more of what you were hoping for? Was that did
Mhm.
it puff up and was soft and
Yes.
buttery and
Yes.
delicious?
Yes. It's like the stuff that, you find at a bakery.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, yay! Yeah, and I think that's what it's all about, right? Is
Mhm.
finding recipes that you really love and that work and trying new things and not giving up on the bake or yourself. 10
Yes.
out of 10, CJ, you did it.
Yes. We both did it.
Yeah, we did. And we're gonna do it again. We're gonna keep on baking, baby.
Yes. Keep on baking and keep on talking about baking.
Yeah. Do you have any last words of encouragement for any bakers out there who might be listening who are feeling a little discouraged, a little let down by the recipes they've been working on, and like any words of wisdom to keep people going?
I guess I would say never give up because each struggle, each challenge is just uh the journey of becoming a better baker. You're getting there. If you don't
Yeah.
bake, you're not going to get better.
100%. A ship is safest in the harbor, but that's not what ships are built for.
Yeah.
I love that. And I would agree. 10 out of 10. Just keep going. We're rooting for you. It's you're going to end up with something that you are proud of and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm so glad to talk with you today, CJ, and I guess we'll see everybody next time when we talk about more baking fun.
Yes. Well, see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye.
Bye. That's it for this episode of Cozy Kitchen.
We're so glad you stopped by. We can't wait till the next time you join us by the fire. See you later.